Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for another episode of the Transfer Show. But before actually talking today about transfer rumours and transfer news, like Louis did yesterday, and as it's a very big sort of thing in the Chelsea community right now, I thought I'd give my take and my opinions on the whole youth and transfer policy as well, because my opinions in some parts sort of vary from what Louis said yesterday in his video. So, like I said, slightly different views to Louis and slightly different views to possibly some of you as well. So my stand on the whole situation is that I do think we definitely do have issues with getting players through into the first team. You know, like Louis said, the last player that actually came through our academy and, make us significant impact into the first team has been John Terry. Obviously, we have signed Thibaut Courtois at a very, very young age and did really well in loaning him out to Atletico Madrid for 3 years, bringing him back, and he's now obviously been our first choice keeper for a few years. So it's not always that it turns out badly, but we definitely do have issues with the whole thing, especially from them coming through the academy from a very young age, looking at players like, Chalobah, or Ruben Loftus-Cheek, players like that. But, speaking about Chalobah, looking at him, for example, the guy's 22. The guy's not 18 anymore. At 22, I think Messi had already won a Ballon d'Or. And Chalobah isn't even capable of getting into our first team. I've said it before. I really do rate Chalobah very highly. And I do get that Louis has a bit of a personal affection with Chalobah as well. But if you think about it, and if you look at it, if he was that good, why is he rumoured to be joining Watford? And not at least the club of the size of Everton or Liverpool or even a top club abroad. If he was that good, then he just should be in our team. Although I like him personally, why is he not going to a much bigger team than Watford? If you think about that. And the same goes for Nathan Ake as well. We all know he's a good player and he did really well when he played against Spurs in the FA Cup semi-final. But if he's that good, why is he only going to Bournemouth? No disrespect to either Watford or Bournemouth, but they're obviously not the kind of club that Chelsea are or Everton or Liverpool are. In theory, they're fighting against relegation. Watford and Bournemouth going into the season, their aim is not to be relegated. Yes, during the course of the season, their targets and their aims might change to top half finish or stuff like that. But it's still nowhere near the size of club that Chelsea is. So why is that? Why is that? Obviously, there have been reports coming out that Chelsea actually do want to start loaning out the youth players earlier than they have been until now. Like I said, Chalobah, Nathan Ake, they're 22. It's kind of a bit late already. So we're kind of loaning them out a bit too late to obviously smaller clubs. And then when they're coming to Chelsea, we obviously have to start with smaller clubs after playing them in the academy. So we're kind of keeping them in the academy for too long. Them loaning them out to smaller clubs where they're a bit too old already, and then they kind of need another step between Chelsea and that smaller club that we're being loaned to. Tammy Abraham, for example, I think we're doing it right with him. We loaned him out to Bristol at 18 and he turned 19 while he was there, I think. So that's a good age. He's going on loan to Swansea now and that could go really well. So by the time he's 21, he could actually be a proven Premier League striker, similar to what Lukaku was when after his loan spells at West Brom and his first first season at Everton when he was still on loan there. And speaking about Nathan Ake again, we're most likely signing Antonio Rudiger as his replacement, if you will. And you can't forget the guy's part of the German national team. And in case you forgot, who are the reigning world champions? And I think Nathan Ake isn't even part of the senior Dutch squad. If he is, he just started to being called into it because last year he was part of the under-21s Dutch team. And the Dutch national team aren't even doing that well. They didn't qualify for the Euros last summer, and it's looking like they aren't even going to qualify for the World Cup. So, they're not doing that well. And, Rudiger is also playing for Roma, a club that is going to be in the Champions League. So as much as Nathan Ake is a good prospect and a good player, Rudiger, he's at a much higher level. He's experienced much better level of football consistently. Not saying that Nathan Ake is still stand by that I think Nathan Ake in theory could become a better player than what Antonio Rudiger could become. But as of right now, Antonio Rudiger is a better player in my opinion anyway. Of course, to everything I've said right now, there are exceptions to it. And I think Chalobah could be one of those exceptions, although I'm kind of contradicting myself by saying, why is he only going to Watford? He's not definitely going to Watford. It's just rumours. We don't know if Watford are even interested or if we are even interested in selling him. So, I don't actually know. But you can't just play the youth for the sake of playing the youth. If the manager in charge at that moment believes that other players we do have at the squad that aren't coming through the youth ranks are actually, or that are better to give us a chance of winning silverware. You know, Louis yesterday spoke about clubs like Southampton and in particular Tottenham bringing through so many youth players. Obviously, Southampton and Spurs are doing it kind of differently. Southampton developed them, bring them through very early, and then seem to sell them on. You know, like Gareth Bale to Tottenham, like Walker to Arsenal, Lallana, and well, I can't remember all of them. And some, a load of players they've sold to Liverpool as well. And Spurs obviously bringing them through and keep playing them because they're not as much of a selling club as Southampton are, and with that youth that they have developed, starting to play for titles. But those clubs, like Tottenham, has the better comparison because they're actually fighting for titles more than Southampton are. Their expectancies and their targets of the fans, the owner, and even the players of the club is very different. Tottenham, they said it was a good season. They were happy finishing second and putting the pressure on Chelsea. They were happy with that. After last season, yes, we probably would have been happy with finishing in the top 4 after last season's, terrible season where we finished 10th. But in theory, next season we wouldn't be completely happy finishing second. It wouldn't be a terrible season. But at Chelsea, we always want to win. And that's obviously different. And Roman is an owner that wants success. He gave everything to win the Premier League and in particular the Champions League. Yes, we've done that already, but I don't think Roman is just willing to say to the manager in charge, saying, yeah, play the youth, that's more important. Even if we finish outside the top 4, even outside the top 6 a few years in a row, if once we do start bringing the youth through, it will be better. I don't think Roman wants that. I think Roman wants constant success. And us as fans, let's be honest, we moan the moment we draw a game to bloody Burnley when we're still 10 points clear at the top of the table. So we would definitely not be happy with it. Yes, in hindsight, we could probably say, oh, it was probably smart to, play all the youth and stuff. But at Chelsea, if we played them and then didn't do well, the manager would get sacked. Some of the players would, not play anymore. And we'd sign expensive world-class players. So even if we tried, I kind of think it doesn't work. A different story, and this is really taking a lot longer than I thought it would anyway, a different story is the transfer policy. I do completely agree with Lou that we definitely have issues there. The only thing I don't agree with is that I think a lot of people are scapegoating Michael Emenalo. And I have done so myself before. So, it's not like it's just Louis or just other people. But actually, the main person at fault for these issues is Marina Granovskaia. Don't quote me on the pronunciation, sorry. Who's actually the person in charge of transfer negotiations. To my understanding, the way I've read it up, in theory, Emenalo's job is to converse between the first team coach, which is Antonio Conte, the board, which Marina, just say Marina, is the head of, and the scouts. So then Emenalo and Conte sort of together bring their wish list of which players they want to sign in which positions to the board, as I said, with the head of Marina Granovskaia, sorry, who are then in charge of the transfer dealings, who are approaching clubs and who are approaching agents / players. So if we are trying to sign a player and we can't pull it off, it's actually her fault, not Emenalo's. If you're wondering why she hasn't been fired, and when she's clearly not doing a great job in that, particular area of her work, she's actually doing quite a good job when it comes to negotiations about renewing contracts, with players that we already do have, or managers, stuff like that. If you're wondering why she's not being sacked, for example, that's because she's Roman's right hand. She's literally Roman's eyes and ears, Roman's voice at the board, at the club, because Roman obviously isn't always here. And she was put into that position by Roman himself. This is obviously what I read up, what their roles are. Obviously that might vary, and that might just be in theory, and in real life that might sort of wash in together more. I'm not sure about the proper expression for it, but that it might not be that sort of fixed. This is your role, this is my role, I only do this, you only do that, if you know what I mean. But the way I understand it, Marina is way more at fault than actually Michael Emenalo is. But yeah, so that's my take. The youth policy, obviously I want to bring youth players through. I want, you know how much I really do like Chalobah. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I think, is a good player, but I don't think he really suits the current system. Obviously I want players like Tomori or, although they're not English, Christensen or Nathan Aki to come through. I want them to do well. Also, for example, Charlie Musonda. But it's just not that easy. Obviously it's not that easy for the manager and the club to decide, do we prefer bringing through the youth or do we prefer winning silverware? Because, you know, silverware brings money as well. It brings bigger deals like the Nike deal. It brings more revenue. You know, all of that. It's easier to run the club self-sustainable or sustainably, whatever it is, for Roman as well, who probably doesn't want to spend billions over billions, you know, pretty much season after season anymore. But now actually coming to transfer stories. Sorry, it took way too long considering this is a transfer show video. Charlie Coulter, 20-year-old centre mid, obviously youth player at Chelsea, has gone through the whole of the youth ranks. I think he was captain of the under 19s or under 20 side until last year. Now obviously he played at the under 21s last year, I think. But he's joined Vitesse Arnhem on a 1-year loan, so yeah, good luck to him, and I hope it goes well. Now Bakayoko and Rudiger, just quickly, both transfers are apparently about to happen. Like Louis, I think, mentioned yesterday, Rudiger his medical is apparently taking place in Los Angeles, where he's spending his holiday after, you know, taking part in the Confed Cup with Germany. And also the Bakayoko deal seems very close to completion and announcement. Now, actually, a new rumour that I haven't mentioned on here, that we haven't mentioned on here, apparently Chelsea are interested in 25-year-old Brazilian right-back Danilo from Real Madrid, with Chelsea apparently willing to pay around 30 million euros, which is around £26.5 million. I know some people don't really like him, but I think he's actually a good player, most definitely an improvement over Victor Moses. Don't forget, and I think a lot of people do actually forget, at Real Madrid, he's behind probably currently the best right back in the world, Dani Carvajal. I completely butchered that name. Dani Carvajal, whatever it is. You know, obviously there's Dani Alves, who's a good player, but he's a lot older than Dani Carvajal. Philip Lahm just retired, so who else is a better right back than Dani Carvajal? I couldn't tell you one. So it's difficult for Danilo to get into the team, and as he's an improvement over Victor Moses, he's not particularly that expensive. He's still at a good age, so I take him. I think he could do a decent job at wingback, if I'm completely honest. More reports have also come out about James Rodriguez, who I've obviously already mentioned a fair few weeks ago now. You know, Zidane clearly isn't the biggest fan of his. James Rodriguez wasn't even part of the matchday squad in the Champions League final between Real Madrid and Juventus, although he was completely fit. So if we do actually want him, we should quite easily be able to get him. Of course, they aren't going to sell him for 20 million, and they will want a lot of money. I don't know how much, rumoured to be around just over 50 million, although a few weeks ago I was talking about over 60 million. I don't know what it is. He won't be cheap, definitely not, but if we do really want him, we should be able to get that done. And the last bit of news today, you know, sort of the bookies have sort of really slammed down the odds on Chelsea signing Fernando Llorente, obviously. That doesn't really mean a lot, but other reports, especially coming out of Wales, obviously Swansea is in Wales, are saying that, you know, these reports about us signing Llorente are kind of becoming stronger again. Obviously, 32-year-old Spanish striker, like I said, from Swansea or playing for Swansea. Obviously, he come as a backup striker, not as a first-choice striker, just because we seemingly can't get Lukaku. But he just coming to give us a different kind of backup option. Obviously, Antonio Conte has worked with him before at Juventus, and you know, he'd give us a different kind of backup option as Michy Batshuayi does. You know, Llorente is very tall, very good in the air, very experienced compared to Michy Batshuayi as well. So I've said it before, I think that would actually be quite a good move. Obviously, not have Michy Batshuayi and Llorente pretty much as our only strikers. We need a big name striker. Whether that is Lukaku, although I don't think that's happening, or, you know, anyone else, Belotti, Morata, Aubameyang, whoever it may be. But yeah, I really wouldn't mind signing Fernando Llorente as backup striker. But yeah, that's it from me. I know I rambled on. I don't know how long exactly it is, but I think it took me forever. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope you guys did watch until the end, because there was a lot of rambling involved in that. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. I hope you did. Leave me all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Obviously, I know I've seen a load of you have commented on Louis' take on the whole, you know, the whole story. Please do so under here as well. I really want to know your thoughts on what I've said as well on the youth policy, on the transfer policy, and obviously your thoughts on the transfer stories as well. Charlie Coulter joining Vitesse, Danilo, Bakayoko and Rudiger. When do you think it's actually finally going to happen? Because we need signings. Like, we're going mental here, even though it's only the 7th of July. Llorente, and obviously also James Rodriguez. But yeah, like I said, leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. We massively do appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.